And now to meet Jenny Batterham. She's 24. Until 10 months ago, she was a healthy young student studying communications at Macquarie University. Today, she's confined to a wheelchair, having lost the use of her legs through the crippling disease of multiple sclerosis. In time, Jenny will lose the use of her arms as well, and there's nothing the doctors can do to help her. So Jenny has decided to help herself. When her disease was diagnosed, it was suggested that one of the best things for her to do was to go and work in one of the sheltered workshops. But she refused. She has other ideas for her future and the future of fellow MS or multiple sclerosis sufferers. Jenny, good morning.
Good morning, Caroline.
Thanks for coming in. How did your experience with MS, with multiple sclerosis, begin?
Well, I was a student, unaware that there were handicapped people around, except that those that sold bars on the street.
Yes.
And one day I lost my sight. A few weeks later I regained my sight, but then I started to develop very severe pins and needles in both legs and arms. It took a few months after that to be diagnosed as having multiple sclerosis.
Well, there are some curious and rather mysterious things about multiple sclerosis. It's more predominant in temperate climates. Apparently it affects women more than men on a ratio of 2 to 1 and attacks people in the prime of their life between the age of 20 to 40. And no known cause.
No cause or cure. There are a lot of question marks, but unfortunately no known answers.
Nice and relaxed, just let them loose, eh? No. You've got a tremendous increase in these deep tendon reflexes. Yeah. Remember this little thing? As I run it along, it's a little bit sharp. Just tell me how it feels on the two sides.
I feel it.
What about down here?
Barely at all.
And in your hands? Just over this way, in the palm.
Ouch.
Sharp.
Yeah, sharp.
Unpleasant?
No, just sharp.
What about a pin? It's just sort of down here.
Barely even feel it.
Over here?
Don't feel it.
Right, over here.
Very blunt.
What on your face, I wonder? Just
pin.
Sharp, eh? On this side?
Yeah, pin. Can we also discuss what we discussed last time for Kim's benefit?
About children?
About children?
The problem that I mentioned to your wife is this. I don't think that it's my position really to tell you whether it's a moral or immoral thing to do. You know,
sure.
That's your own decision. But the practical issues are something I can talk about. The first thing is, we don't know Jenny's future because MS is totally unpredictable. You could go rapidly downhill, you might never have any problem, you could completely recover, and any stage in between is possible. But take the worst case, because you have to be planning on a lifetime now, or at least the time from birth to adulthood of a child. If Jenny were to have bad trouble, either she could be crippled and unable to look after the child, in which case you'd have the job. She could have, for instance, worse problems with control of a limb, she could have worse problems with vision, she could have difficulties with many other parts of the nervous system. So she could be bedridden in the worst case. And it's a grim possibility, but you still have to allow it. Or she could die. That happens. Once you bring up the question of children, I've got to at least, unfortunately, tell you the possible bad news. On the other side, that might never happen.
What percentage is there of the child actually contracting MS?
None.
None.
No, that's at least not a problem.
Thanks. Yeah, okay. Kim, can you come and help?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you get off. I'll do it.
What are the biggest problems that physically handicapped people face?
I'd say mobility is the main one. Many handicapped people are locked away in either sheltered workshops or hostels or hospitals. But there are many of us who just can't get out into the streets, and that's why people don't see us. We can't catch public transport. We have to rely totally on other people to help us out.
How do you feel about Jenny being so dependent on you physically all the time?
Kind of varies, really. At times I don't mind it, I don't even think about it, really. But over a period of time, it can become very... well, it's like another pressure. Over the last 6 months, that's a process we've been going through where I've had to really come to terms with Jenny's disability and accept the sort of the responsibilities and the liabilities involved. Because if I don't accept those, and I still haven't totally done that, then actually living together day by day is sort of a real pain. It's, you know, you sort of argue too much and there's tension and you don't communicate very well and things like that. You're not relaxed.
What's in the relationship for you?
I suppose it's something that Jenny gives me. I mean, it comes down to like the original reason why I fell in love with her in the first place and continued to live with her, because even before she had MS, we went through quite a number of heavy times. And I suppose just in her love, she has something to give me that I can't get anywhere else.
MS is a disease that affects the protective covering of the nervous system. This causes the messages from the brain to become scrambled. It is characterized by remissions and relapses. According to neurologists, I'm in the top 4% of the worst affected. However, for most MS patients, their prognosis is good. The figures are 85% remain walking after 10 years and 68% remain walking after 20 years. So for most MS patients, they can expect to enjoy a somewhat restricted but normal life. My symptoms have been loss of sight, then double vision, then loss of feeling from my waist down, then lack of coordination, lack of control of bladder and bowels, and no balance. Probably one of the worst feelings that all MS patients get is terrible, terrible tiredness. I mean, tiredness like when you're so overtired that you can't sleep, that you feel tears coming to your eyes because you can't go on. And people don't understand this.
Do you find that people treat you differently when they see that you're physically handicapped in some way?
Oh, most definitely. For example, recently we went away and everybody asked Kim, are you going back to work and what sort of work do you do? But nobody dreamed of asking me, do you work? Nobody even asked me, how do you fill in your time? I think they just thought that I sat back in my room and read and maybe did a bit of handicrafts.
And do people sometimes just not see you, as it were? Do you sometimes feel you've disappeared?
They either look at my wheelchair, and just stare at the wheelchair, and I have to go, hello, I'm here. Or they walk along the street, and as children are taught not to stare at the handicap, by the time they reach adulthood, it's been so totally grained into them that they're not even allowed to look at the handicap. So I'll be walking along the street and there'll be 4 people walking towards me, and I'm quite surprised that they don't run into me because they're walking like this, Right in all times. Becoming the cripple and girl and everything too.
I didn't believe it. I refused to believe it. And I kept thinking, Jenny's always been a little bit inclined to be a hypochondriac. And I thought, oh, this is absolute madness. It can't be, couldn't be. And I wouldn't believe her. And I looked at her, and I thought, you're walking all right, you're all right. Then you can't have it. It's ridiculous, absolute rubbish nonsense. You haven't, you've just got a virus and it'll go away. There looked nothing wrong with her. I couldn't come to terms with it at all. But now I think I'm learning to cope much better, and I have accepted it now. I find if I live day by day, it's the only way, and with the help of God, I'm sure she'll get better.
What's helping you cope with it, Mr. Whitford?
Well, I think, it's one of those things that first of all, there comes a form of acceptance that you accept that she has got multiple sclerosis. It took quite a long time in my case to accept it because it's something that you rather said, well, this can happen to anybody else, but it can't happen to me.
Well, when I first wake up in the morning, I immediately think of Jenny and have a great temptation to ring her and say, how are you today? But I realise I can't do this because it annoys Jenny if I ring her every day. I sometimes sit by the phone hoping she'll ring me, which she very often does.
How did you feel about handicapped people before this crisis in your family?
Well, I never thought very much about them, really. And, of course, I was obviously, I think any person with any heart at all will feel sorry if they see somebody who is disabled walking along the street. I might have, given a donation of a couple of dollars or something like that, That's about as far as I really thought about handicapped people. Of course, you think a lot more about it when it happens on your own doorstep.
What have you noticed, say, about Mr. Whitford's behaviour in trying to cope with the situation?
Well, I notice he gets very worried on certain days, and I get very worried on other days. If I tell him she's not very well today, he gets angry. And I say, why are you so angry? Because she's not well today. I thought she would be getting better today. I want her to get better today. I've been praying very hard the last week. Very, very hard. She should be feeling better today. And I have to tell him his prayers aren't always answered. Because a lot of people have this trouble. And I tell him to pray harder the next day. That he soon comes round. And he says, I don't know why I'm so angry, because she's not better. I can look at her and think, but Jenny had the most beautiful walk in the world. It was one of the most distinguishing things about her, was her walk. It was rather a flamboyant sort of walk. She walked on air, usually. You'd know Jenny's walk anywhere, and I cannot believe, and I do not believe even now, that I won't see her walk again. And it's only with the faith that I have in God that I know she will walk again. I know she will. And I firmly believe that I will see that lovely walk of Jenny's again.
Jenny, one of the taboo subjects concerning the handicapped is their sexuality, and I wonder if you would say anything about that from your point of view.
Sure, I'd like to. The handicapped people's sexuality is just as important to them as it is to any able-bodied person. When I became handicapped, many of my friends would ask me if Kim and I still had a sex life. And I answered then, and still answer now, yes, we do, and we have a good sex life. When you become handicapped, your sex life undergoes very dramatic changes, and it takes a lot of hard work and an awful lot of love to overcome those changes. But through that work and that love, you find you can enjoy, well, you can have just as sexually a fulfilled life as any other healthy woman. But you have to compensate and make effort. And in some ways, it's a benefit, because whenever you have sexual intercourse, you put a lot more effort into it than probably a lot of able-bodied people do.
What's happening, Jenny?
It's just in there, right? I mean, it's the whole uselessness of being handicapped. I mean, when I come to a place like this, right, I know it's good, I know it's there for a reason, but the whole thing of just, I don't want to sit up and cut up paper dollies throughout my life, you know? I mean, I need to be utilised. I don't want to be in a place like this. I mean, I think of what would happen if my parents died, if Kim left me. I mean, okay, this is a day centre, it's okay, you know? But it's the whole thing of, right, like, just shoving the handicapped people away, shoving me away, you know? It's not right, just because I've got this disease, just because the poor people in there who have got it. And what else have they got to do, you know? Like, so they sit and they make their macrame hangings and that they do their rug making, and all of them are very nice and all the rest of it, but it's not enough.
Oh, morning, Jenny. Nice to see you again. How are you?
For rallying hope.
Oh, good. Yes, it must be up in the corner there, though.
We'll have to give this one down,
Yeah? Great. Thanks very much, Ben.
Thank you. In the planning of the Eastern Suburbs Railway, no allowances were made for the 1.1 million Australians who are handicapped. At the opening of the railway, we demonstrated that handicapped people have rights, and it's high time that we were considered. Listen, you can see over us, none of us are going to be in your way. All you're going to be doing is moving back about touching Oh, you're right.
Would you people be good, decent Australians and give these people who have got nowhere near the capacity and enjoyment of life that you have to move back? What
We tried to get here earlier. It took a long time.
Couple of rows. Well, by God, I never thought Australians would sink off like that.
There's some hostility at the back. back here. Oh, there's a lot of yelling at you to move here, yelling at Mr. Brown to move here. How do you feel about that? Well, I feel that Australians looking after the handicapped people. I mean, any one of those people, we're not actually blocking their view. Any of them could become handicapped tomorrow. I became handicapped a year ago.
What about the kids out
now
here?
Suddenly I haven't got a right as a human being to be here. We're not actually blocking their views. They can raise their kids on their shoulders if they want to. I mean, I just feel that Australians should be more considerate.
What about the kids out here? Aren't you going to move there?
We've got people
Kids want to see
who can't do anything for themselves.
Why you're moving? The way she's moving, funny
Planners feel about crippled people in today's society. Oh, most definitely.
I'm not
people are
pleased. No
angry
need to
about
swear in
that.
front of the kids, neither.
What they think is that we should be locked away. Suddenly we've come out of our sheltered workshops and we've come out of our homes.
Yeah, well.
And we're here and we're trying to put forward the point that there are 1.1 million handicapped people in Australia and we're not being considered. Oh, most definitely.
I thought they were supposed to be.
I mean, I've had interviews with Mr. Cox already and I plan to try.
He was a person that wants to let your child see, as we do. But if you're going,
Buddy, females, whatever, want the same as what we do.
Between us not being able to see and the children not being able to see.
Well, what about the little kids?
Well, you can't see now anyway. For God's sake, all these people are here. So why didn't you say that?
We were, weren't we? We're still getting nothing done.
So it's very pleasing to be associated with this new transport facility, which is going to be a great convenience to a lot of people.
Now,
You want to change?
yeah, can you bring me my blue jeans,
Yeah.
my alpaca jumper,
Yeah.
underpants,
Yeah.
and shampoo and soap?
Which sort of shampoo?
Oh, let me see.
Mm.
I hope you've got it warm. No! Cold, Kimmy.
Hang on, hang on.
Drowned.
Yeah, Mark. Maybe a bear.
Do you want a bit more water?
That'll be
It's cold.
What's cold?
Me.
No.
Yeah.
Essentially, there are two frustrations in a broad sense. One of them is the restrictions that, the physical restrictions that are placed on your relationship. Things you can do, things you can't do. The other thing is a pressure on you about the future in terms of how much sicker will Jenny get and what effect will that have on your relationship and whether you'll be able to cope with that at all. Because it seems that if Jenny gets sicker than what she is, then I don't know whether I'll be able to continue looking after him, because the demands of my career, as it were, and the demands of, and just this sort of life I want to lead, and the pressures under which I want to lead that life, well, it may become too much, you know, like the balance may not be any good anymore. So that, well, it's a very difficult question. It's very difficult to know how far and how long and how sicker she would conceivably get before we'd break up or what.
Look, Dolly, Dad. Here, give it to me. Look, shut up. Thatch. Good boy. Is this fine?
No.
Come on, Thatch. Thatch. Yes. Yep. Yep. I'm forward, Kim. Living with somebody 24 hours a day with a cripple is virtually an impossibility. Living with a cripple 8 hours a day is pretty hard, but when I'm continually reliant on Kim's continually reliant on me, it's impossible. I mean, all I want to do now is to go back to being a wife, to share in 50% of the housework instead of 10% of it, to cooking nutritious meals, to being a support to my husband rather than him being a support to me as a career woman, for him to be the career person. The frustration that I'm feeling is just enormous, like, because I can't do things for myself anymore. Like last night was a perfect example. We were packing to come up here and I was very tired, I was overtired, and I wanted to do things and I couldn't do them for myself, and I asked Kim, and Kim was tired and he got angry. And eventually I exploded to my own shame. I've never lost my temper to such a degree, and I actually picked a glass up and threw it and broke a mirror. I smashed this mirror to smithereens, and I smashed this glass, and I just get so frustrated that I can't do things for myself, that I have to be totally and utterly reliant on Kim. And I put such a strain on our marriage because I'm continually having to get him to do things. I mean, I love Kim so much, I want to keep this marriage going, but when you're asking somebody to do every little thing for you, like helping you at times go to the toilet, helping you bath, helping you reach down to cook something, well, it's just too much strain, you know. It's an impossibility, and I'm just frightened we're not going to make it. Because of these strains, because of me being handicapped, because of the fear that I'm going to become worse, that I'm going to become a vegetable, that I'm going to end up in a nursing home. Because of those things, and because I don't know whether it's fair for me to put those things on Kim, because I love him so much that how much can I put on him? You know? I don't know.